next up for order of business here, I was going to say it again, Stetson Bennett. It's not Stetson Bennett. Carson Beck. We spoke on our Sunday night show, which is our college football show in general, and I got to talking. I was like, Carson Beck is having a hell of a year, and look, he's not going to win the Heisman, but I was like, it's crazy that he's not at least in the conversation. It's crazy that he's not at least being looked at, right? And the reason being, when you take a look at his stats, they're damn near similar to Jaden Daniels. Outside, he's 10 tutties behind Jaden Daniels, but alongside Bo Nix, Michael Penix, he's not far off. Now, an article was written today by Dog Nation that Georgia is negotiating to keep Carson Beck as his NFL draft stock has continued to rise. And where this is coming from is the Carson Beck. This is from Mel Kiper Jr. Carson Beck is the highest rated NFL quarterback prospect in the hunt for a college football playoff spot. So just kind of take that in for a second, okay? The highest rated NFL quarterback prospect in the hunt. That's over Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels. I was going to say Joe Milroe isn't a prospect. Jordan Travis, but obviously him being injured, that probably plays an aspect to that. But the fact that he's being higher rated right now than Bo Nix and Michael Penix, Caleb Williams is not in the hunt. So clearly he's not saying he's higher rated than Caleb Williams. It's just teams that are in the hunt is very interesting. Very interesting. Quinn Ewers, who is choosing to stay, also I would say is considered to be in the hunt, but he still has an NFL draft stock, you would think, right? So very interesting. That's something I said too. I said, look, right now, Stetson Bennett's a junior. And if he has which he has had a hell of a close to his year, plays a great SEC championship, and wins one of the playoff games, all of a sudden, Carson Beck's going to be like, hey, I might be a first-round draft pick. And out of nowhere. And I risked coming back and injure all these things. And you did a good job, Kirby, for building me up, and I appreciate it. So, again, this conversation is starting on how can we keep him. And there's also talks of how much it is to keep him, which per Matt Rule said it costs anywhere from $1 million to $2 million to keep a good quarterback from leaving, going either into the portal or into the NFL draft. Caleb Williams, I believe, that the number was $4 million. It's basically cap and salary, guys. I don't even know why we're even talking like it's NIL anymore. But there's a piece of the article that I want to read here that really got my ears perked up a little bit. It says, when we do our calls with NFL teams, some of the best information that came up on the call this year was like, hey, Jim, I was just through Athens, and they're trying to keep Carson Beck. Nagy said per on 3. So the UGA staff wants to keep Carson Beck. So we did not send an invite to Carson Beck. I've known Kirby Smart a long time. Those relationships with the college coaches mean everything to us here. What do you mean an invite, Sheldon? Well, an invite to the Senior Bowl, which juniors are allowed to be invited to, i.e. Princely and Cam Jackson, both were invited to the Senior Bowl. If you participate in that Senior Bowl, you are basically saying, I am gone. I am declaring for either I'm exiting, or more like if you're invited to the Senior Bowl, your draft stock is probably high enough to where you're going to get drafted. So that's kind of that initial step. They just said blatantly that we didn't want to upset Kirby. We didn't want to enforce Carson to possibly leave because we have a good relationship with him. Are you like, it's like they don't even care anymore to say like, yeah, like we're in cahoots with Curbs. We love the guy. We want them to do very well. Why didn't they feel the same way about Billy? Why did you go to send Princely, our junior, a Senior Bowl? Well, you didn't care about Billy's feelings? Like, this is wild to me. This is absolutely, like, am I crazy here? Am I just being a bitter fan, or am I being reasonable? Like you come out and blatantly say we're not going to send it to a quarterback that probably deserves to be invited to the Senior Bowl, because why are you being invited to the Senior Bowl? You have showed excel expectation in your position. We feel that you probably would do well in the NFL. I'm assuming, right? I don't know what the criteria is, but he probably would have got an invite if he wasn't playing for Kirby, is what it sounds like. Dave, I'll let you go first because you're a big Georgia fan.
Yeah, I'm a wonderful Georgia fan. I mean, like, either way, whether they send him an invite or not, and you can go on the, I guess, conspiracy theorist part, whatever. I mean, Carson Beck, of course, he's been great. Over 3,000 yards, 72.2% completion rating, 91.9 pass grade there on PFF, which is amazingly good. I mean, when you look at their quarterback room, you got Brock Vandegrift, Gunnar Stockton, you got Dylan Raiola coming in. Are you really going to lose out on anything with all that talent that you got on the bench anyway? It's a good problem to have, but while they say that, I mean, you don't really know if they're doing that with other schools, though, too. Just asking, like, hey, whatever, and if Billy's got a good relationship with him or not. I mean, they just weren't mentioned. But at the same time, like, I guess you could look at that and say, yeah, that's a little head scratching as well. But we obviously don't know. This is one article from one person that probably knows the insides of Georgia and what's going on. I mean, it could have probably happened to other schools as well. I don't know that whole process about the Senior Bowl and all that and the invites, but I'm just trying to be fair. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist,
Yeah, I'm
but
checking your temp. You feeling all right, Bubba? What the hell? What the hell was that all about? Fucking weirdo.
well, I'm
Oh
gonna
boy.
finish you to hell with Georgia, and I hope Alabama wins. Go ahead, Holly.
Hold on before you go. So look, I agree. There was a ton of talent stacked behind them because of what we heard of Brock and the other. I can't think of the other name of it right now. Gunnar Stockton. But again, it's the unknown. If I'm Kirby, I'm doing everything I can to keep Carson Beck because you're poised to win a possible third in a row. You bring Carson Beck for another. That four looks pretty good. And look, the schedule they had this year allowed for Carson to get warmed up. It's not going to be the same as next year. So you don't want to be in that position with a new quarterback if you don't have to be. So I agree. Yes, there's a ton of talent there, but I could assure you they don't want to play Russian roulette with those quarterbacks if they don't have to.
They were in a position with a new quarterback this year.
Oh, I know, but you don't want to keep having to do that if you don't have to. I mean, they didn't have a choice with Stetson Bennett. The guy's 35 years old. He had to go. But it will be interesting. Look, if he goes out, Huh?
I said Vandegrift's been there forever.
He has been, but and you still hasn't won the job over Carson Beck. So how much better is he really? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you. There's a ton of talent there, and so that is another one to think about. If Carson does choose to stay, there's two big quarterbacks that are going to be hitting the portal, which is going to be a ton of talent. So that's going to be an interesting to keep an eye out for come January, because I imagine they won't do anything until after their preseason ventures. So should be an interesting one.
What if we look at it this way? What if there was maybe let's just say like there was some interest by the NFL to Kirby to say, hey, is your quarterback considering even going to the NFL? If so, we have an invite for him. And the conversation between Carson and Kirby is, no, I'm not going to the NFL. Well, then don't waste your invite. Get out of here. Now let's look at it. I mean, yeah, exactly. Now look, how many people do you think? How many players in the last 5 to 10 years do you think got an invite to the Senior Bowl that didn't go through Saban first? That Saban got blindsided by.
Sure.
Hold on, you got what? No. So look, I think it comes down to this. Like, and we'll use Cam, right? Because he was on here just a minute ago. He got an invite, but I don't feel like even from the conversation that we just had with him, in all due respect, that he knew whether he was going to accept the invite or come back. So you take the invite, give them the invite, and I think that at that point, then you've got that fluidity. But in a situation where look, these Gestapo-style coaches that oddly all seem to come from the same coaching tree have a control over every little minutia thing. You just don't. I don't think a coach is going to allow an invite to even be rendered to a player unless there's already been some communication between coach and player to even get to that point. Look, I don't think Billy knew what the answer would be for Cam, and I don't think Cam knew what the answer would be from Cam. So Cam was like, "Yeah, I'll take the invite." He didn't accept it, but he damn for sure got the invite so he could make his own decision.
Yeah,